Got to see on Zoom. Sure. Okay, welcome everyone. Robbie is in the building, so he'll be with us shortly. Hey, Rainey, good to see you tonight. Patrick, you didn't want to brave the fair traffic?
Yeah, I practiced enough patience going home Sunday morning.
I hear you. I hear you. Okay.
Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Rainey.
Hi, Ian.
All right. Welcome, Jennifer. Hi, Paul. Okay. All right. Still a couple people joining us and walking in the Gampa.
Hey.
Hey, Linda. Hey, Brad. Good to see you. So we are ready. Just giving Robbie another couple of minutes here. You should have seen Chris and I in a mad dash to get everything set up after getting caught in fair traffic and getting here at the last minute. So, but we made it. Karma was on our side. So we are here and Robbie is here. And we'll let you have it, Robbie.
Testing. Oh, I finally learned how to work this thing. Impressive. Okay, let me get a copy of the prayer book. Let's see, I've got 6:59 on this clock. What do you have? Oh, okay. We'll wait till it says 7 o'clock. Okay, let's begin. As I was telling Lisa, I have found out that I'm going to need to be out of town next week. So this is actually the last class in this module. So I apologize about that. And then there is a break in discovering Buddhism until January. Is that correct, Lisa? And which module do we start off with in January? Do you know? And who's leading that? Okay, it might be me. Yeah. Okay, so this is the last in our module of discovering or establishing a daily practice. Who was here this past Sunday morning for Emmett's talk? Anybody? Yeah. Yeah, he gave a wonderful overview of the path, which is, if you're looking for subjects to meditate on, he gave us a lot of great ones. Anyway, let's just begin with some concentration meditation. I think we've become familiar with the posture. If we're sitting on a cushion, we're a little bit towards the front of the cushion. If we're sitting in a chair, we're sitting straight in the chair. Our back is a little straighter than we normally sit. Our head may be just a couple degrees in front of the vertical. Eyes either lightly closed or just very slightly open. Lips lightly closed. Tongue on the hard palate behind our upper teeth. Our jaw is not clenched but relaxed. Our shoulders are down and a little bit back, so our chest is open. Upper arms are away from our torso. Right hand on left with our thumbs touching slightly below our navel. If we're sitting in a chair, our feet are flat on the floor or on a cushion. If we're sitting on a cushion, our legs are crossed in a position that we find comfortable. And the whole point, or the major point of the posture, is that once we establish it, it's really self-maintaining. It's not something we have to work with or struggle with during our meditation. We kind of get it set and it takes care of ourselves. So you feel like you're very solid down to the area around your navel, very solidly rooted to that area below the navel. So scan your body starting from the top of the head and working down. And if there's anything that's uncomfortable or tense or that needs a little bit of adjustment, deal with that now, so it doesn't come up over and over and become the theme of your meditation. And to help settle our mind, we take 3 deep breaths from the abdomen, the stomach expanding on the in-breath. This pulls our diaphragm down and stimulates the vagus nerve, which actually slows our heartbeat and our breathing down. And then the stomach contracts towards our spine on the out-breath. So 3 deep breaths like that. And we begin our meditation session by setting our motivation. And we think about the bodhicitta motivation, the aspiration to become enlightened, to completely develop our qualities of wisdom and compassion for the benefit of all sentient beings, without exception. The ones I like, the ones I don't particularly like, the ones that I'm indifferent to or don't even know, throughout the entire universe. A huge idea that I can be of benefit to all those sentient beings, but that's the bodhicitta motivation. And having set our motivation, we'll now begin our meditation. Again, a simple, but not necessarily easy, concentration meditation with the consciousness or awareness on the physical sensation of the breath, moving in and out through the openings of our nostrils. Nothing more than that. Concentration, awareness, mind on the breath. So the mind directly perceives breath. And we just stay with that for the rest of the meditation, coming back to it over and over again as necessary. And we can close our meditation session with a dedication. Acknowledge that we've created something, some positive energy just by sitting and concentrating like this. That's changed our mind in a positive way. And we think, may that positive imprint not be dissipated or lost, but may it ripen in the future in a way that benefits all sentient beings. Again, touching back to the bodhicitta motivation as we close our session. And you may relax your concentration. Okay, so establishing a daily practice. We've talked about our meditation space a little bit. It should be a dedicated space, nice and neat, that we feel have positive feelings for us. We've talked about how to set up our altar, some brief guidelines on how to set up the altar. We've talked about the prostrations, the 3 prostrations. We can do at the beginning of the session if we're so inclined. Certainly there's no requirement, but that's a standard Buddhist practice. And we've talked about the posture. I think we're all quite familiar with that. So now I would like to talk a little bit about the prayers that we do. So if you can get the gold prayer book and turn to page 34. As you can, if you have the prayer book, you can feel that this page has been pasted in. Kadampa centers altered it a little bit for our purposes. And the point is that there are a gazillion different Buddhist prayers, a gazillion different Tibetan Buddhist prayers. And you go to any Buddhist center, they're probably going to be doing some that you're familiar with and some that you're not familiar with. And even if you go to another FPMT center, they're not going to be doing the prayers exactly in the same order necessarily. I mean, this is from a section called preliminary prayers, which means prayers you do before the meditation session. So as you establish your daily practice, it's perfectly okay to pick and choose which ones speak to you and which ones you want to include, if any, in your daily practice. And so the point of, we talk about Buddhism being a non-theistic religion. There is no creator God that we pray to. So when we're doing these, we use the word prayers. I'm not sure what the word in Tibetan or Sanskrit is for prayers. It may have a completely different connotation. But when we hear that word, most of us think about praying to a God, something outside ourselves. And that's not at all what we're doing with these Buddhist prayers that we say here at Kadampa Center. Geshe Gelik uses the word aspirations for them. They're things that we aspire to. We say them primarily to set our motivation, okay? And for the impact that they have on our mind stream, the thoughts that we want to cultivate that may not be there in any powerful form yet, but by repetition and thinking about them over and over again, we can cultivate these thoughts and we bring that somewhat cultivated mind to the meditation session that's to follow. So the ones that we have on page 34 and 35 are the prayers that we typically say here at Kadampa Center. After much trial and error, we've come up with this format. And you're, like I say, you're completely free to pick and choose or use others in these. Lama Yeshe, one of, actually the founder of the FPMT, he's deceased now. He said that most Westerners are so bad at meditation that it would really be to their advantage to spend 90% of their time saying prayers and 10% doing the actual meditation, that they're going to get a lot more benefit from that than just jumping into the meditation. And he's also the one who said, you start off with 10 minutes a day. So that'd be 9 minutes of prayer and 1 minute of meditation so the whole point is to be gentle with yourself. But I wanted to talk a little bit about these prayers. Start off with Shakyamuni Buddha's mantra, and we'll set that aside. I'm not going to go into that now, or the medicine Buddha. But the most common one is the one in the middle of page 34, taking refuge and generating bodhicitta. You'll hear that at least at every FPMT center and most Tibetan Buddhist centers in one version or another. So it's said that when we begin our session, first thing we should do is take refuge. And if you've studied the Lam Rim, you understand that refuge, and Hemant talked about this very eloquently on Sunday morning. Refuge is acknowledging that the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha are your reference points. Okay. By following the Buddhist path. Good evening. Come on in. Thought you had gone to the fair tonight. Get swept over there with the traffic. Yeah. Taking refuge means I go to the Buddha, the historical figure of the Buddha who achieved enlightenment during his lifetime, the Sangha, the community of monks and nuns who are following his path, and the Dharma, the teachings of the Buddha. That's what I turn to. That's my rock. That's my source of strength. That's what I go to when things are going bad. That's what I go to when things are going good. That's my reference point. Okay, that's my North Star. That's the direction I'm following. So we start off by taking refuge and generating bodhicitta, which we've talked about, the wish to become enlightened for the benefit of all sentient beings. So just to read it in English, and you can say these prayers in either English or in the Tibetan. There's whichever one works for you. I go for refuge. So refuge is an active process. It's not just passive, but I go for refuge. And it's not something you do once and you say, okay, I've done that. No need to do that again. It's something that's happening continually. I'm continually going for refuge until I am enlightened. So when I achieve the state of a Buddhahood, completely compassionate, completely wise, I don't need to go for refuge any longer. Okay. I've gotten to where I'm aiming. Okay. So refuge is something that we're doing continually on the path to enlightenment. When we're just beginners, when we're very advanced, we're going for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So the second line is to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly, which in this refers to the robed Sangha, those who have taken vows, those who have made a serious commitment to following the Buddhist path. Sometimes the word Sangha is used more informally to refer to everyone at Kadampa Center or everybody who's studying Buddhism. But when we say a prayer like this, we're talking specifically about the robed Sangha. By my practice of giving and other perfections, okay, so I've gone for refuge. Now I'm practicing giving or generosity and the other perfections. So there's 6 perfections. Anybody knows what they are? Generosity, ethical behavior, which there are a lot of definitions of that, but it's basically not hurting others. Next. No, there's one. Patience or fortitude, okay. Then comes perseverance or joyful effort. Then comes concentration, and then comes wisdom, seeing things as they really are. Okay, so by practicing generosity, ethical behavior, patience, joyful effort, concentration, wisdom, I mean, that covers basically all the teachings of the Buddha by studying them and by practicing them, not just having intellectual knowledge of them, but experiential knowledge of them, putting them into practice in our own lives. So practicing the six perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. So practicing the six perfections in all their implications is what takes us on the path to Buddhahood. We've taken refuge, we practice the six perfections, and that takes us on the path to Buddhahood, to enlightenment. Okay? So this is a very common prayer that we say before before meditation here at the center, and it's one that lots of people include in their daily practice. So let's just say that together out loud in English. And it's typical to put our hands up together at our heart when we say this, but again, there's no requirement. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. So we'll typically say that 3 times. That's something we repeat 3 times. So that's one prayer that you may include in your daily practice if you're so inclined. Okay, the 4 immeasurables is another way of setting our motivation or the meditation to follow. It's another aspiration. And the 4 immeasurables are the 4 immeasurably great wishes or aspirations. Again, and so we're saying, may this happen. Okay, we're not saying, Buddha, please make this happen, but we're saying, may this happen. We're aspiring to this for a mind that can make this happen. We're not praying to some all-powerful being who's outside us. No, nothing's wrong with that, but that's not the Buddhist path. So may all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. That's love, okay? May everyone be happy. The wish that all beings be happy. That's what's defined as love in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. That's compassion, okay? May everyone be free from suffering. And both happiness and suffering have causes, okay? So you have to be free from the causes of them. You just can't eliminate them without eliminating the causes, the mental imprints that cause us to be happy, that cause us to suffer. So we're aspiring to that wish for everyone, an enormously big wish. It includes everyone, friends, co-workers, family, people we don't know, people we don't like, all animals, all beings throughout all realms. So the 3rd immeasurable is may all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. So may that condition continue. May it not just be temporary, but may they abide in that happiness without suffering. And may all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. So equanimity is a necessary condition to practice the Buddhist teachings. It's a state in which we're free from attachment, okay? Which means free from overestimating the qualities of the people we like, of seeing things that are not really there, from projecting onto them, oh, this is the most wonderful person in the world and she's going to make me happy and we'll be together for the rest of our lives. Okay, projecting all of that onto a person who does not exist that way. In the same way, hatred, aversion is projecting onto others qualities that they don't have. This person is making me unhappy. This person is the source of my mental unhappiness, is the source of my problems. So a state of equanimity is not a state of indifference or of not liking anyone and not, of just being a bowl of oatmeal. It's a state of really appreciating others as individuals, free from our own projections onto them, and seeing all beings as equally worthy of enlightenment. Okay? Just because I project I don't like onto this person doesn't mean that they're not a sentient being worthy of enlightenment who wants to be happy. Okay? Equanimity, which is a necessary basis for meditating on the path of the Buddha. So those are the four immeasurably vast wishes. They're wishes for all sentient beings, immeasurable. Okay? Let's just read those together now in English. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. Seven limb prayer, I'm not going to go into that. That's something you can include in your daily practice if you wish, but I'm not going to go into that. But that's basically talking to the Buddhas. Again, with a sense of aspiring to their qualities. And then the mandala offering. This is, we're using our ability to imagine. This is really practicing generosity at a very simple level. The first perfection, we're practicing giving. And it's even easier than giving the water that's in our water bowls, because here we're just imagining that we're giving everything wonderful in the universe. We're offering it to the Buddha and to all sentient beings. And this is accompanied by a hand mudra. Anybody know how to do the mudra? No need to require. And this is just, it's kind of interesting to at least be familiar with it, even if you're not going to include this in your practice. But you take your two ring fingers, stick them up in the air, put them together so they're sticking straight up. Okay, that's the first part. Yeah, you're okay. Yeah, okay. Okay, for the camera. Then you cross your two middle fingers. I'm putting my right hand under my left hand on the middle fingers. They're crossed. Then you take your index finger and curl them around the tips of your index finger, of your middle fingers, and pull them down. Don't break a finger. And then you cross your little fingers and grab the tips of those with your thumb. Okay. So index fingers up, middle fingers crossed. Grab the tips of the middle fingers with our index fingers. Little fingers crossed, pretty close to the base of the little fingers, and thumbs pull the tips of those down. And if you're having problems with it, that's okay. I just wanted you to be familiar with it. This represents, in the center, Mount Meru, which is the center of the Buddhist cosmology, and then the four continents around it at each corner. So it represents the whole universe. So it's just to help your visualization, and there's no, there's no requirement to use this. But if you're making a mandala offering, a mandala refers to a beautiful environment in which a Buddha can live. You're imagining that you're offering the entire universe and everything wonderful it contains. Okay, so we say, this ground or this environment, anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, so full of wonderful things, adorned with Mount Meru, 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I'm not sure where the sun and the moon are in this, but I guess you just imagine that. I imagine this as a Buddha field, as a suitable environment for an enlightened being, and I offer it. I practice generosity. I freely give it. Okay? May all living beings enjoy this pure land. So we're offering it not just to the Buddha, but to all beings. Okay? So we're practicing generosity in the same way that we do when we set up the water bowls on the altar. So let's just read that, and you can do the mudra if you want to. You don't have to. This ground, anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha field and offer it. May all living beings enjoy this pure land. And then we typically recite the mantra at the end and dissolve the Buddha field. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niryatayami. And so we bring our hands down and together. So that's a very short mandala offering. When you go to teachings, you'll see some of the monks and nuns who have what are referred to as mandala sets, which are, they look like upside down cake pans with a lot of elaboration, and they set them on top of each other and build one up, and they pour stones and things over it. And then that's setting up a mandala, a perfect environment, practicing generosity. Okay, the first perfection, giving. So those are some prayers that you can include in your daily practice if you're so inclined. Like I say, pick and choose the ones that speak to you, that you find make a positive imprint on your mind, and that help you set your motivation for the meditation to follow. Any questions about this or comments on the prayers?
Anyone online, just unmute, wave.
Okay. So we've set our prayers, we've set our motivation. Now we do the actual meditation practice. Again, it's up to you to, a lot of this is up to you to set up what works for you, but most people start off with a little bit of concentration practice, watching the breath, counting, something just to get their mind focused, calmed, steady. And that can be your entire meditation practice. You know, you can work with that. People work with that for years. Okay, at some point, most people feel like they need to move beyond that just developing concentration. Again, one of the 6 perfections, number 5 of the 6 perfections, is part of the path, but they want to bring in more. So you could do other concentration meditations, for example, reciting a mantra, which embodies a very specific idea. Reciting a mantra either slightly out loud or just silently to yourself and concentrating on that. You can do a very simple visual or very complex visualization of an image of the Buddha in various aspects. Or you can do an analytic meditation in where you think, for example, about the inevitability of death, for example, one of the topics of the Lam Rim, and you concentrate on that. You think about it, you analyze it, you bring your own experience to it, but with that concentrated mind, so that you're staying with that and not wandering off, but you're thinking about, is death inevitable? What evidence do I have for that? What evidence do I have against that? So you can do an analytic meditation. So how do you decide what meditations to do? That's a big issue for a lot of people, okay? Traditionally you'd be living in a monastery in the mountains of Tibet, and you'd have direct access to highly qualified teachers and gurus, and you could go and ask them and they'd tell you what to do because they knew your mind so well and they would know what was most beneficial. Okay, most of us don't have that luxury. We do have teachers here, but even someone like Geshe Gelik, he can't give advice to everybody who comes to Kadampa Center on the ins and outs of their meditation practice. So this is, again, a lot of it is up to you. You know, if you're interested in the Tibetan Buddhist path, the Lam Rim, the steps on the path to enlightenment that was outlined by Lama Tsongkhapa in the 1400s and can be found in lots of different texts. It's a series of steps. Who was here Sunday morning for Hemit's talk? A couple of people were, okay, yeah, he went through it very quickly, but you can find it online. You know, just go through that sequentially, okay? Take one each day and move through it over and over again so that you become familiar with it. Or pick one that particularly speaks to you and stay with that one day after day after day. There are various ways of doing it. There are lots of good books. An outstanding one is called How to Meditate by Kathleen MacDonald, aka Sanghi Kadro, a Western nun who's been to Kadampa Center to teach several times. Is a great outline if you want to establish a meditation practice, and she gives you some wonderful meditations in there. Excuse me. If you go on retreat, that's a wonderful way to become familiar with some meditations, and you can bring those back and include those in your daily practice. For a lot of, you know, you can go out. Sometimes we have retreats here at Kadampa Center, or we have practice days where we do Tara meditation, which is an aspect of enlightenment, or medicine Buddha meditation. Or you may go to a retreat that's all Tonglen meditation, taking and giving meditation. So there's no meditation that you have to do. Okay, it's what you find is useful to you, that you find trains your mind in the direction you want to go, which again is the refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And if you're doing a meditation and it makes your mind agitated, upset, makes you angry, or just bores the heck out of you, maybe you try setting that aside and doing something else, okay? Bring some wisdom to it. Don't do something because you feel you have to do it. But I'm just saying there's certain, you know, nobody's going to tell you you have to, or if somebody tells you you have to do this, you have to do that, I'd be a little bit leery, okay? But there are some guides that we can find even if we're not living in the monastery. Meditations Geshe Gelik or visiting teachers lead us in, books we have, going to retreat, teachings online by the great teachers. So you have to take some responsibility here for establishing and designing your own meditation practice. If you practice, you know, progress along the path, and you actually get to the point where you take what's called an initiation, which is a tantric practice. And an initiation given by a qualified teacher is giving you permission to do a certain meditation. You're technically not supposed to do it without having received the initiation from a qualified teacher. That will typically come with a commitment, something that you're committing to doing typically for the rest of your life. And it can be something as simple as saying the mantra of that meditation 21 times every day. Or it may include doing a visualization meditation every day. So if you take a lot of tantric initiations, you can wind up having your dance card very full if you're not careful, and then you wind up breaking your commitment, which, you know, is not the worst thing to do, but the idea is to try and keep it. So you don't take a lot of commitments a lot of initiations if you don't have room in your practice and your life to do the commitments. So that's the way a lot of people have developed their meditation practice, but it's hard to include that if you're only doing 10 minutes a day. So most of us are starting out at a more basic level than with a lot of tantric commitments. Any questions or comments about what I've talked about there?
Would you repeat what you said, the 7 steps of, it was right before you talked about the book on how to meditate.
That's
said the 7 steps of, I couldn't remember what you said.
did I say 7 steps?
I thought you did.
I mentioned the 7-limb prayer in the text, but we're not doing that. And I did the 6 perfections.
Right.
And I don't remember any other 7 I said. Yeah. I get all these numbers in my head and I can't sort them out. Yeah.
It was after you talked about the different types of meditation, concentration, and mantra, analytical,
analytic. Yeah.
yeah.
And I was just mentioning varied types. There wasn't a specific list of 7 that I gave, I don't think. Okay.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Yeah. Any other comments or questions? Okay, so now I'd like to finish up by doing a brief meditation. We'll go through all the steps so we get a little bit familiar with it. We're going to start with 3 prostrations. Okay. Get these old aggregates moving. Okay, so we're going to imagine that we've cleaned our meditation space. We've set up the altar. We've made our offerings with the 7 water bowls. And now we'll do 3 prostrations, acknowledging what's embodied in our teachers and the teachings that we aspire to put into practice in our own life. And we'll do the prostration mantra with these. Okay. Om Namo Manjushriye, Namo Sushriye, Namo Uttamaya Shriye Soha. Om Namo Manjushriye, Namo Sushriye, Namo Uttayama Shri Soha. Om Namo Manjushriye, Namo Sushriye, Namo Uttamaya Shriye Soha. Okay. We've done our 3 prostrations, and we take our place on our meditation cushion. We're going to have to kind of rush through this. We don't have a lot of time left, but that's okay. So let's read Taking Refuge in Bodhicitta 3 times in English to help set our motivation. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I was at a teaching once with His Holiness. Lots of people there. And he couldn't remember if he'd said it 2 or 3 times. He had to ask. He said, how many was that, 2 or 3 times? Okay. So we've set our motivation. we establish our posture. We're familiar with that. 3 deep breaths from the abdomen. Again, get real firm with your motivation. The bodhicitta motivation. And just a couple minutes of concentration with the mind on the breath at the opening of the nostrils. And now we're going to do a visualization like we did last week. We're going to visualize in space in front of us, about a body length in front of us, is the living Shakyamuni Buddha in the form that he has in the statue on the altar. He's sitting in meditation pose, life-size, three-dimensional, real. With an expression of infinite kindness on his face. So establish that visualization in your mind's eye. And we imagine a beam of brilliant white light flowing from the Buddha's heart to our heart, filling us with all his quality of perfect compassion. the wish that all sentient beings be free of suffering. The light enters our body through our heart and fills us completely with that perfect compassion. And maintaining this visualization, we recite the Buddha's mantra of compassion, Om Mani Padme Om. We just say that quietly to ourselves, articulating it with our lips, but very quietly, saying it rapidly over and over again. Om Mani Padme Om, Om Mani Padme Om. So we maintain the visualization, the white light, and the mantra of compassion. We keep all of that in our mind's eye. Our attention not wandering from that. Or if it does, we bring it back over and over. And we're left with a feeling that we're completely filled with compassion. That every non-compassionate thought and impulse has been erased from our mind stream. And we let the image of the Buddha dissolve. And we dedicate the merit that we've created, the positive imprint made on our mind stream, to the benefit of all sentient beings. And you may relax your concentration. And if you look through the prayer book, you'll find there are lots of different dedication prayers that could be done at the end. There are a whole variety of those. We do some of those on Sunday morning also. But again, it's your choice. Okay, so for those people who are a little late getting here, I know this is our last class in this module. I have to be out of town next week. So we're finished, but I hope that gives people just a sense of the way to structure a basic meditation practice. And you have a lot of freedom. Again, the book, How to Meditate, I'd highly recommend if you're have further questions and want to look into it in more detail. That's a good one. Venerable Thupten Chodron's books are also good for this. And then Discovering Buddhism is on hiatus through the rest of the year, and we'll start off in January with Samsara and Nirvana.
January schedule is not complete yet. So
Okay,
I
yeah.
don't know the date yet, but Look
Yes,
forward to
stay tuned. Yeah.
next
Okay.
year. See you all next year.
Probably see y'all before then. Yeah. Do we have anything else? Any other announcements? I don't think. Okay. Good seeing everyone. Okay, everyone online. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.
See here
Thank
in
you.
December.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
Thanks, Robbie.
Welcome
Thanks,
in.
Lisa.
Thank you to Lisa and Chris for
Yeah.
making this work.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, everyone.